Hi there, this is Ranjit and this is going to be a different kind of a video. This video is about the Huawei and the Honor ban, and quite a few of you have been asking me to make a video, and in fact this took a lot of time because in the last 4 days I've been working on this one, and in fact I have also asked about the status directly to Huawei India team and the Honor team, and in fact I just got a reply from them also. So let's talk about this one, and this video can be a little bit on the longer side. So what I'll do is in the description area just divide the video so that you can directly go to where you want, because first I'll talk about what is happening, then the irony of this thing, and some of the facts that we need to know what will happen, and finally the statements what the Honor and Huawei team gave. For example, if you already have Honor and Huawei devices, how it will affect you, and lastly what is my personal opinion about it. So first let's talk about this, and I frankly feel this is all a political move. If you recall, this China and US trade war is going on, and Huawei is now the second biggest smartphone manufacturer in the world. In fact, for technologies like 5G etc, it's a leader, but the US President Trump has actually last month in May banned Huawei, and in fact Trump gave an executive order in mid of May, which bans all US companies to work with Huawei, any ties and something. And this is having a lot of effect because if you know, Huawei smartphones and Honor smartphones both run on Android OS. For example, if you want to know more about this executive ban and what it is, I'll leave a link of the CNBC. Again, I'll leave a lot of links, guys. I did a lot of research, but would like to share all the source points with you guys. So what essentially this executive order that is a ban is, it prevents any US-based company to work directly or indirectly with Huawei, and this affects them because, for example, Android is actually owned by Google, which is a US based company. In fact, this ban goes a lot. For example, ARM, which is technically not in US but it has an office in US. That's why even ARM and other companies like Facebook etc are all affected by this ban. And even now, according to this ban, even the micro SD card association can't work directly with Huawei. So it's a broad topic. I won't get into every aspect, otherwise this video will become a 45-minute video. But let's talk about specifically how it affects Android as it's owned by Google. And because of this ban, last month in May itself, Google gave a statement that yes, Google will honor that ban according to the US government, and later on stage Google will revoke access to its Play Store, its own apps, etc. They won't be found on this. This does not mean that Huawei cannot use Android. In fact, if you recall, Huawei phones that are actually selling in China already do not have any Google services. So Google has, there is open source Android that is known as AOSP. So even after this ban, Huawei can actually technically use Android, but they have to use the Android open source. So what does that mean for you and me as a consumer? If Huawei uses this AOSP, that is known as Android open source project, it will not have Google services. For example, it will not have the Google Play Store, which is the place from where you download most of your apps if you have an Android phone. And also it won't have access to services that Google provides. Google apps you could call like YouTube, Gmail, Google Maps, etc. So again, it essentially makes Android a little bit crippled in my frank opinion. And right now the ban is not in effect. The US government gave a 3-month leeway, so this actually ban goes in effect on August 19th onwards. So for example, if you already own a Huawei on a phone right now, you can access everything and stuff. I'll talk more about this ban. I'll actually read out what is the official statement these Honor and Huawei have given. But now let's move to the irony, which I feel is very silly. And actually US banned Huawei on concerns that the President Trump said that Huawei is a security issue. Their 5G equipment and their smartphones etc actually leaks sensitive data to the Chinese government. This is an allegation, and this whole ruckus is made on that. But the funny thing is that till now the US government hasn't given any foolproof proof that actually Huawei's equipment or their smartphones are actually spying. So again, I feel this is just a political move between the trade war between US and China, and Huawei being such a big company in China is getting effective. So now let's move from this one, and Huawei now, because apparently after, if the things don't go the way they want after August 19th, if this ban goes in effect, yes, Google Play services might not be available on Huawei phones. For the new phones, they can't have Google Play service and stuff. So Huawei was anticipating something like this, and in fact Huawei said that now they have been actually working on an alternative operating system for the last 7 years if something like this happens, and they claim that this new operating system that they are developing, they're working on, is almost 40% faster than Android. And in fact, just a couple of last week, in fact, they have applied for trademark for this new operating system. At least in China, it might launch first. It's known as Huawei OS, and in fact, in other parts of the world, it might be known as the Arc OS. So Huawei is now serious, and they have actually applied for the trademark. So they might, if this ban continues, they might move to this other operating system. And this other operating system is claimed, the good thing about this whatever Arc OS is that it claims that developers don't have to tweak a lot. Existing Android apps will work on that. So that's the biggest advantage that they're having. And in fact, Huawei is asking many of the developers to actually publish their apps on the Huawei's own app gallery, which is their own software store like Google Play Store. Again, I'll leave the link of CNET for the whole story. If you want to read it, you can do that. And just last week, around just 7th of June, things have changed a little bit from the Google side. Google made a statement that what is going on is not right, and indirectly they're sort of supporting Huawei because Google has realized that Huawei might, if it gets squeezed from all the side, they might launch their own operating system, and this is bad indirectly for Google, because all the Honor and Huawei phones come with Android OS. So Google is pitching the US government now that having a separate one more new operating system with AOSP, it might not be as secure as what Google is providing. So again, there is a debate going on, and indirectly now Google is sort of supporting Huawei. Let's see what happens. I'm hearing rumors that this is not confirmed, guys. These are very rough initial rumors what I'm hearing, that Google and Huawei are trying to extend this ban, that is for just after 90 days, that is August 19th, it will expire, extend it to about 1 or 2 years. Will that happen or not? We do not know that. And I'm pretty sure Google does not want one more operating system, because Google is going to lose a lot of revenue if Huawei releases that Arc OS, whatever, which is fundamentally based on Android, but out of Google services. So Google definitely does not want that. So now let's talk about what is going to happen if you already have an existing Honor or a Huawei smartphone. To answer that, first let me actually, these are the two statements that I got from, this is from Huawei and this is from Honor. In fact, I'll link this, add both these statements, make a doc file in the description area so that you can download. But let me quickly talk about what Huawei has given me. This is a statement directly coming from Huawei they sent me. They say that Huawei has made substantial contribution to the development and growth of Android around the world. As one of Android's key global partners, we have worked closely with their open source platform to develop an ecosystem that has benefit both users and industry. Again, this is important. Huawei will continue to provide security updates and after-sales service to all existing Huawei and Honor smartphones and tablet products, covering those that have been sold and that are still in stock globally. We will continue to build a safe and sustainable software ecosystem in order to provide the best experience for users globally. And in fact, the Honor statement is also very similar to this one. Again, this sort of a Q&A. I'll just read it for you guys. For example, this is the question: will the ongoing development have an impact on the Honor global sales? They said that we'll continue to provide security updates and after-sale service to all existing Honor smartphones and tablet products, covering those that have been sold and are still in stock in globally. This is an important question. Will people be able to continue using Google services like Google Play and Gmail on their Honor phones? And this is the answer what they gave. We will continue to offer the services mentioned above in all the products that have been sold or are in stock globally. Our consumers will be able to use the service without any hindrance. And again, I'll just I'll leave this page if you want this document now. So looks like if you already have Honor and Huawei smartphone, your current phone will work as it is. For example, let's say if you have a Twitter app or a WhatsApp app or what, magically after August 19th, it won't get disabled or something. So you'll be able to continuously use it. And according to their statements, in fact, they say that you might be able to use and download new apps. Let's see what will happen, but that's what the official statement said. But I feel what will happen to existing Honor and Huawei smartphones after August 19 is that you might not get future Android updates. For example, right now, let's say if it's on Android Pie, it will stay on Android Pie. You won't get the Android Q update after August 19. So that is one thing that might happen to existing Android smartphones, and I'm not very sure about it. Their statement says that they will continue to provide security updates, but this is a little bit dicey because once the ban goes ahead, that is August 19th, if it does, I'm not very sure if Google will provide Android security updates to these affected phones. That's my personal opinion. It might be a little bit different, but yeah. Also, new phones that might be launching after this August 19 will not have Google services, because if this ban goes, then Google has to adhere with that. So again, let's say a future phone, whatever, let's say on Huawei is launching like the Mate 30 Pro or whatever, after August 19th, if they launch, it might not have the Google services. But again, as I mentioned earlier, Huawei is serious about this and they're working on their own operating system. So I don't know how easy it would be for them to do it, but the current ban is bad for Honor and Huawei. Just today, according to Bloomberg, I'll leave a link. As you can see, they say that it's impacting about 40 to 60% of the sales for Huawei and Honor phones. So it looks like we might get on a new operating system that is known as the Arc OS. If things don't get resolved. But personally, I feel this is all a political game between US and China. And before the deadline of August 19, I think so things might change, or they might just extend the deadline to a year or two. Let's see if that happens. But if it doesn't happen, yes, there is a high probability that Huawei will go ahead with their Arc OS, which might be a replacement for Android. Is it a good thing or not? I don't know, but yes, I feel right now the two major operating systems for mobile are iOS and Android. And yes, there is a scope for a third operating system, but it will be very difficult for Huawei to convince developers to actually port their apps or post their apps on the new app store for whatever their OS. And in fact, Huawei has been asking developers, they have been sending out emails. There is was actually an article from CNET about it. Again, I'll leave a link, asking developers to post their apps on their store. But I feel some of the bigger apps might not post their apps on this so-called Huawei's own store, because again, due to the US ban, the companies which are based in US are prohibited from working with the Huawei in any sort. So it'll be dicey. It'll be interesting to see how this pans out, because most of the popular apps, for example, let's say even WhatsApp, Instagram, these are owned by Facebook, which is a US company. So indirectly, they can't work with Huawei. For example, most of the popular apps that we use on a day-to-day service, Twitter, you take, etc., most of these companies are based in US. So it'll be interesting to see how will Huawei convince these app developers to post their apps on their new operating system, if really this ban goes in effect and Huawei needs to release their own operating system. But I personally feel before this deadline of August 19, there might be some major announcements, and hopefully things get resolved. And frankly, I feel Huawei is this current scapegoat between the trade war between the US and China, which is actually a really bad thing in my frank opinion. The more competition we have in the market, we as consumers get better products, better services, etc. And by just one country, because it has a power, is now able to affect sales of another mobile provider or whatever, is just crazy. If Huawei would have been guilty, then the situation would have been different. But I'm like, it's very strange still now, as US has accused Huawei of all this espionage, leaking of data to China. Why haven't they come out publicly and actually prove that one? So I frankly feel as of now it's a political drama that is going on, and we don't know. August 19th is an important date. Let's see what happens before that. But to sum up my personal opinion, as of now, if I am a consumer, if I would have to buy a new smartphone, because of all the confusion that is going on right now, will Honor phones after August 19th, what will happen? The ban will continue or not? The new operating system. Frankly speaking, if I was a consumer as of now, I like some of the Honor and the Huawei phones, but as a consumer, if I was a consumer and I would have to buy a smartphone right now, I would delay my purchase of the Honor and Huawei smartphone and see how the situation pans out. So what do you guys think about this Huawei and which is getting like crushed in this trade war? What do you think about this? And do you think we should have one more third mobile operating system? I'm really curious to know about it. We have iOS and Android. Do you think there is space for a third mobile operating system? Anyways, guys, these are my thoughts about the situation, what we have. Do let me know what do you think about the same. And if you guys are still not subscribed to my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. This is Ranjit, and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care, guys.